In this episode, a disastrous marriage proposal occurs. Chris and Amber are on a romantic stroll in Yellowstone National Park just prior to Chris's proposal. A bison charges toward them with great speed. It charges straight at the couple and drives its horns into Amber, sending her flying through the air. Hit like and subscribe. Welcome to Wild Assault. The American bison is an iconic species of North America, having been brought back from the brink of extinction after once roaming the Great Plains in the millions. Prior to European settlement in North America, an estimated 30 million bison were grazing. As a result of intensive and extensive conservation efforts, the number of open grasslands there is now estimated to be just over 30,000, up from as low as 1,000 in the 19th century. They are generally seen as gentle giants, often observed grazing the lush green pastures of America's national parks or lying on the ground, chewing the cud. Their enormous bodies can reach a shoulder height of 7 feet, and males can weigh up to 20 pounds or 1,000 kilograms. It is estimated that Yellowstone National Park contains just under 6,000 bison. Visitors travel great distances to observe them in their natural habitat. The Yellowstone bison are descendants of the original herds that roamed North America 2 centuries ago. The ancestors of modern-day Yellowstone bison miraculously escaped the mass slaughter that nearly wiped out the species. However, these seemingly peaceful herbivores are capable of delivering a powerful blow with their horns. When surrounded by wolves, they can gore any perceived threat, ramming into them at 35 miles per hour while having 2,000 pounds behind them. Bison herds can form a circle with calves in the center. They lower their heads and point their horns outward to protect their young. Yellowstone National Park receives over 4 million visitors annually, and park rangers have been attempting to warn people of the potential dangers. Some individuals, lulled into a false sense of security, are getting too close to the cattle. At all times, a distance of at least 25 yards must be maintained. Regarding bison and other large mammals, including elk, bighorn, sheep, deer, moose, and coyotes. When it comes to bears, however, it is recommended to maintain a distance of at least 100 yards. However, some individuals ignore the warnings. A 2018 study of bison attacks between 2010 and 2015 revealed that of the 25 incidents, 21 occurred within 6 meters or 20 feet of the victim. Some of the injured individuals were actively approaching the bison when it charged them, causing severe injuries. On Monday, July 17, 2023, Chris Whitehill and his 47-year-old girlfriend, Amber Harris, were on a romantic getaway. Their trip to Wyoming had been in the works for quite some time. Additionally, he intended to propose to Amber in Yellowstone National Park. It would be a proposal to remember a romantic stroll along the north shore of Yellowstone Lakes. Yellowstone Lake is the park's largest body of water. It is located in the southeast corner of the park and has 110 miles of explorable shoreline. Chris was heading toward a natural wooden bridge further along the trail, unbeknownst to Amber. There, he would get down on one knee and propose to Amber. However, it was not to be. After only one night in the park, Chris's plans were thrown into disarray before they reached the bridge. The couple was on their way to a cafe close to the Lake Lodge cabins on Yellowstone Lake. They enjoyed a cup of coffee there before beginning their walk. Chris had already planned this walk in his mind. The group followed the path away from the wooden cabins and toward the lake. Along the trail, they observed approximately 20 elk in the grass. They stopped and quietly observed as the herd moved on. Then they moved to the side of the trail as a group of people passed them. It was a popular walk among tourists, a gentle stroll with scenic views and abundant wildlife sightings. In the middle of a field, halfway to the water's edge, something blocked the path. When they stopped to take a closer look, they discovered 2 bison on the trail. The pair stopped in their tracks. The enormous creatures were only 50 yards away. Chris and Amber marveled at the animals for a few moments before concluding that it would be safer to avoid them and turn around. They were aware that bison could be dangerous, and their path led them closer to them. Therefore, they began to walk back the way they had come. As the couple turned to look behind them, however, one of the bison rolled in the dirt. It kicked up dust and rubbed its back against the ground, twisting from side to side like a playful dog ringing in the new year. The bison then rolled onto its back and turned its head toward Chris and Amber. Their eyes met and the creature stood. They could see its massive frame, impressive horns, and powerful, robust body. It took a few steps toward the pair before charging them at full speed. Its massive shoulders can be seen behind its broad head. It has curved, sharp horns that point directly at the couple. It quickly covered the ground between them. Chris and Amber attempted to flee, but there was no escape. They were unable to outrun an animal with speeds of up to 35 miles per hour. In addition, there was no cover in the open prairie. There was little time for reflection. They had little time to react before the animal attacked. It charged straight into Amber, a head-on collision that sent her comparatively tiny body flying through the air. The bison then continued its assault. It stood above her and thrust its horns into her chest while shaking its head from side to side. Chris could only observe as his girlfriend wailed in pain. Blood covered her body as she lay helpless beneath the enormous head of the bison. He screamed and yelled at the animal, desperately attempting to distract it for the Arizona couple from Phoenix. As the bison's sharp horns delivered potentially fatal blows to Amber's chest and abdomen, it felt like an eternity. In reality, the attack lasted only a few seconds, but it caused significant damage in that time. The bison retreated and returned to where the other bison stood. Christopher sprinted to Amber. She was in terrible condition. She had difficulty breathing. She exuded blood from her mouth. She was unable to move her legs and losing consciousness. Chris called the emergency services and begged them to rescue his girlfriend immediately. However, her injuries were so severe that she may not survive. He calmly held her hand while speaking to her. Amber attempted to remain calm. The pain was indescribable, and as she gasped for air, the feeling of panic began to take over. But she believed in God. She believed he would safeguard her and keep her alive. Her lungs were both punctured. They were bleeding profusely. Her spine was fractured and her abdomen was torn. Not long after the call for help was made, the couple heard the reassuring sound of the emergency helicopter's blades becoming worn as it approached. Amber was flown to the Eastern Idaho Regional Medical Center via helicopter. She suffered 2 punctured lungs, 7 spinal fractures, and severe bruising as a result of the gruesome incident. Riley joined her in the hospital, and Chris never abandoned her side. The bison were not going to completely derail his marriage proposal. Consequently, when Amber was stable and on the road to recovery, he knelt beside her hospital bed and popped the question without hesitation. Amber, sporting a black brace to immobilize her spine, of course, said yes.